Chinese. There's a flavor that shows up in restaurant Chinese food that you will never reproduce at home. And the problem isn't your recipe, your wok, or your technique. The problem is that your stove is about 15,000 BTUs too weak. That flavor is called wok hei, otherwise called the breath of the wok. It happens when oil hits temperatures so extreme it ignites. Professional woks reach those temperatures. A standard home range most definitely cannot. The charred, smoky taste that emerges from that kind of heat is what defines Chinese cooking at its core. The base of nearly every dish starts with 3 aromatics: garlic, ginger, and scallions. They go in first every time. From there, the flavor builds through soy sauce, sesame oil, rice wine, and oyster sauce, layered on top of each other in combinations that vary by region, but always aim for the same thing: deep, rich, concentrated flavor. Just like the country itself, regional cooking variation across China is massive. Cantonese cooking leans toward lighter sauces, steamed fish, and roasted meats glazed in honey and maltose. Sichuan throws in dried chilies and peppercorns, spices that make your mouth burn and tingle until you can't tell if you're still tasting or just experiencing sensation. Hunan cooking cranks the heat even higher with raw, aggressive chili spice. To be fair, grouping all these regions under one label is a bit like calling French food and English food European cuisine and leaving it there. China's best-known dishes include Kung Pao chicken from Sichuan, which is diced chicken stir-fried with dried chilies, Sichuan peppercorns, and roasted peanuts in a sauce made from soy, vinegar, and sugar. Char siu is Cantonese roasted pork with a glaze of honey, five-spice, fermented tofu, and red bean curd that caramelizes as it roasts. Mapo tofu, also from Sichuan, combines silken tofu with fermented bean paste and chili oil, creating a dish that's spicy from the peppercorns and hot from the oil. Then there's the century egg, a duck egg buried in a mixture of clay, ash, salt, and quicklime for weeks to months until the yolk turns dark green and the white becomes translucent and gelatinous. It smells like sulfur and tastes even worse than it looks. Intensely savory and quite pungent, it's an acquired taste people from the Western world never quite acquire. Japanese. Japanese cuisine is built on a stock made from 2 ingredients: kelp and dried bonito flakes. That's it. And from that, the country developed sushi, ramen, tempura, and one of the most sought-after cuisines on Earth. The stock is dashi. It's the invisible base underneath everything else. The philosophy behind it flips China's intensity on its head. Japanese cooking believes that great ingredients don't need transformation, they need respect. Miso, mirin, and soy sauce get used with precision instead of abundance. Heat is often the enemy. Raw and lightly cooked preparations dominate because the goal is to enhance what's already there, never to mask it. Sushi exemplifies the obsession with restraint. The rice quality matters as much as the fish, sometimes more. Ramen flips that hierarchy completely. The broth comes first. Tonkatsu uses pork bones simmered for hours. Shoyu is centered around soy. Miso brings fermented depth. The noodles are secondary. Tempura demonstrates the technical side of cooking. A batter so light and minimal it barely exists, crisping without overwhelming whatever is inside. The technique is simple. The execution is hard to perfect. Natto is a breakfast dish Japan is well known for. It's fermented soybeans with a texture that's slimy and a smell that can clear a room. Millions of Japanese people eat it every morning without hesitation. For everyone else, it's the food equivalent of a dare. Korean. Somewhere in Korea, there's a jar of something buried underground that's been fermenting longer than some of your relationships have lasted. And it's the reason an entire national cuisine tastes the way it does. Korean food doesn't depend on super hot woks or delicate broths. It depends on jang, fermented pastes that are the backbone of nearly everything. Gochujang is a spicy chili paste. Doenjang is fermented soybean paste. Both appear in stews, marinades, and side dishes with such frequency that removing them would collapse the entire cuisine. Kimchi isn't just a side dish. It's a foundational flavor. It's fermented, spicy, sour, and woven into the DNA of Korean cooking. The flavor that results is bold, punchy, and deeply savory. Korean cuisine doesn't split the difference between Chinese richness and Japanese minimalism. It goes its own direction entirely. Kimchi jjigae is a fermented stew where kimchi itself becomes the main ingredient, not just the accompaniment. Bulgogi is beef marinated in soy, pear, and sesame and grilled over charcoal. Tteokbokki is chewy rice cakes coated in gochujang sauce. It's the street food that made Korean food accessible to people who'd never tried it before. The fermentation runs so deep that Korea industrialized it. There are over 200 types of kimchi. Regional variations stretch across the entire country, and families have recipes that have been handed down for generations. Koreans didn't just ferment things, they perfected the science of it. Taiwanese. Taiwan was colonized by two of the greatest food cultures on earth, back to back. Instead of picking a side, it built something neither of them had. Taiwanese cuisine is built on braising. Soy sauce, rice wine, sesame oil, and 5-spice powder create rich, complex liquids that turn tough cuts of meat into something so tender it falls apart. Everything tastes like it's been cooking for hours, whether it has or not. Street food culture is central to Taiwanese identity in a way it isn't elsewhere. You don't go to restaurants, you go to stalls, you eat standing up, you order from people who've been making the same dish for 20 years and have perfected it down to the exact timing. Beef noodle soup is Taiwan's unofficial national dish. A slow-braised broth built on 5-spice and chili, served over tender noodles and beef that dissolves on your tongue. Lu Rou Fan is braised pork belly over rice. Simple, but perfect. Guabao is a steamed bun filled with braised pork, pickled mustard greens, and crushed peanuts. It's a dish that Taiwan has become well known for. Taiwanese food is hearty, comforting, and built on a single principle. Time and heat can transform anything into something worth eating. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is rushed. Vietnamese. The most labor-intensive broth in Southeast Asia is designed to taste like almost nothing is in it. Much like Japan, Vietnam strips everything back. No heavy oils, no thick curries. Instead, clear bone broths simmered for hours, and raw, fresh herbs piled on the plate so you can add them yourself. Fish sauce provides the umami, the deep, savory flavor. Lime and rice vinegar provide the brightness. The broth works because it stays clean and light. Pho is the obvious example. Beef or chicken broth with flavors from charred onions and ginger, simmered until it's subtle and clear, served with rice noodles and a plate of fresh herbs you can put in yourself. Banh mi is a French colonial baguette filled with Vietnamese pickled vegetables, pâté, and whatever protein fits. It probably shouldn't work, but Vietnamese cooks made colonialism delicious anyway. Bún cha is grilled pork patties served with rice noodles and herbs. Hanoi street food at its best. The lightness doesn't mean it's simple. It means restraint. Every ingredient has to justify its presence in the bowl. Herbs aren't cooked in. They're added raw so their flavor stays alive. The broth matters more than the protein. The acid cuts through fat. Nothing tastes like it required effort to prepare, even though it did. Thai. Most cuisines pick a lane. Salty, sweet, sour, or spicy. Thai food grabs all four at once, throws them into the same dish, and somehow they all come out on top. This balance starts with curry pastes pounded fresh from scratch. Lemongrass, galangal, makrut lime leaves, fresh chilies, all ground together until they become a paste. Coconut milk acts as the peacemaker, tempering the heat while adding richness. The food that results is heavier and richer than Vietnamese, more aggressive in every way. Thailand is best known for pad thai. Rice noodles stir-fried with egg, bean sprouts, and your choice of protein in a tamarind-based sauce with a sweet, sour, salty balance that defines the entire dish. Another popular dish, green curry, combines coconut milk, Thai basil, and green chilies into something fragrant and deliciously hot. Som tum is green papaya salad pounded with lime juice and fish sauce, sour and spicy like nothing else. Thailand also has one of the world's largest edible insect industries. Fried crickets, silkworms, and scorpions are standard street food. You can buy them from vendors the same way you'd buy roasted nuts anywhere else. They're protein, they're cheap, and they've been part of Thai cuisine for centuries. The texture is crispy, and the flavor is nutty, far less exotic than the idea sounds. Filipino. Every Southeast Asian country around the Philippines cooks with chilies, coconut milk, or both. The Philippines looked at all of that, grabbed a bottle of vinegar instead, and went in a completely different direction. Filipino cuisine is defined by sour and salty. Vinegar, calamansi or sour citrus, soy sauce, and shrimp paste create a flavor profile that confuses people expecting Southeast Asian heat. Braising and stewing dominate. Everything is slow, deep, and tangy. Just like Taiwan, nothing is rushed. Adobo is the national dish. Meat braised in vinegar and soy until it's tender, and the sauce concentrates into something rich and complex. Every family has a different recipe. Every version is defended like a family secret. Sinigang is a tamarind-based soup that's sour and savory at the same time. Lechon is a whole roasted pig, crispy skin, tender meat, served at celebrations as the centerpiece. Then there's balut, a fertilized duck egg, boiled while the embryo is still developing. You crack it open and drink the broth inside, then eat the partially formed duckling. Like many foods in Asia, it's one of those foods that exists on the edge of what Western palates consider edible. Indonesian. 500 years ago, entire European empires went to war over the ingredients that Indonesian home cooks were grinding into paste on a Tuesday morning. Indonesian cuisine is built on bumbu, complex spice pastes made by grinding shallots, garlic, turmeric, coriander, and candle nuts. These get fried in oil to release their flavor before anything else goes in the pan. Start with the paste. Everything else follows from there. Add ketchup mayonnaise, a thick, sweet soy sauce, and sambal, a fiery chili paste, and you have the framework that holds Indonesian cooking together. Indonesia's national dish is nasi goreng, which is fried rice cooked with ketchup mayonnaise and sambal. The country is also known for rendang, beef cooked in coconut milk and spices until the sauce absorbs completely, and satay, grilled skewers served with peanut sauce.
Malaysian and Singaporean.
Two countries share nearly identical dishes, serve them on the same peninsula, and will both look you dead in the eye and tell you the other one is doing it wrong. Both are melting pots. Malay, Chinese, and Indian cooking traditions colliding and fusing, but the balance is different. Malaysian food tends to be heavier, oilier, more spice-forward, with rich herby broths and sour tamarind bases. Singapore takes those same dishes and leans slightly sweeter, brighter, and more peppery. Laksa is a coconut curry noodle soup that exists in both countries. Malaysian laksa is thicker, richer, built on coconut and spice. Singaporean laksa is lighter, with clearer broth coming through. Hainanese chicken rice. Poached chicken, fragrant rice cooked in chicken fat, chili sauce on the side, is claimed by both, and both will argue about who does it better. Char kway teow is smoky stir-fried flat noodles, and the flaming hot wok that couldn't exist in your home kitchen is what is used to make it. Fish head curry is one dish that defines the fusion between Malaysia and Singapore. Yes, it really is fish head, usually red snapper, stewed in fragrant curry with vegetables, until the meat is tender and falling off the bone. It became popular in both countries in the mid-20th century, and now it's iconic to both. The curry uses tamarind, coconut milk, and spices, creating something that doesn't quite belong to one tradition or the other. It belongs to both, which is exactly how Malaysia and Singapore work. From the precise minimalism of Japan to the sour tang of the Philippines, there's an entire world of flavor out there waiting to be tasted. If you learned something new today, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.